Be a part of the best pro wrestling podcast today by supporting the Going In Raw Patreon. You can enjoy access to the live taping of the show, exclusive merchandise, and patron-only episodes, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today. Click the link in the description. Hey friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
So yesterday we counted down the top WWE superstars that have seen a resurgence thanks to the brand split.
So today we're going to look at those who have been left behind in the new era.
So here are the 10 wrestlers hurt most by the brand split. The New Day! It's no secret, Larson, that many of the fans consider the New Day to be one of the hottest acts in the WWE, even if it does just seem like they're putting in their time with the belts to beat Demolition's record.
Things were looking to ramp up for them right before the brand split though, as the trio began picking a fight with the frightening Wyatt family when they were still at full force, something that looked like a promising feud.
Yeah, this brought us not only a scared and flustered Xavier Woods, but also the fight at the Wyatt compound, a pre-taped tribute to the work of art we all cherish, the final deletion.
The rumble between the two stables also sparked talk of New Day dropping their belts and possibly even their unicorn horns. No matter how much the split of the team had been discussed, it wasn't meant to be, and after a defeat to the family at Battleground, the series of altercations was all but forgotten.
From heated feud to fart in the wind fizzle, this did both teams zero favors.
Raw certainly has other good tag teams, but no one has brought that kind of tension back to the champs, even if Anderson and Gallows gave it a good shot.
And that feud was hampered by the WWE trying to force a comedy routine on the club.
So until the group breaks Demolition's record and drops the belts, most likely to the club, we'll have to deal with the New Day carrying on with their funny, but same old shtick.
It's funny stuff, but they've been doing it for so long. What's character development, story development?
Yeah.
The Big Show! Few can argue that Paul White hasn't had a long and storied career worthy of a future Hall of Famer.
One you can measure by the number of face and heel turns, like using rings on a tree to tell its age. Like a good oak, the Big Show is...
Yeah? Okay. What you got?
I lost my metaphor there.
That's okay. He's been a dedicated worker and a company man, allowing his father's death to be used for a storyline, letting Floyd Mayweather break his nose, and going through countless comedy bits that would embarrass most wrestlers.
Oh, remember that time he spent WrestleMania at the WWE restaurant? Yeah. What was that place called? The World?
I think so, yeah.
After being a round 5 pick for Raw, the Big Show has been a no-show.
Well, in most people's eyes, though, this isn't really a bad thing.
Be that as it may, the roster has room for a giant, especially someone with his reputation that could help put other talent over or garner some name recognition.
Feed him to Strowman!
Not a bad idea, Steve, but he may have more important things to do, as reports claim that the former long-haired giant is looking to have a final WrestleMania match and then retire on top after taking on one of basketball's greats.
Really? He's gonna take on Scottie Pippen?
No.
Jerry West?
No. Shaquille O'Neal.
I'm not sure a Show versus Shaq match was anything anyone was asking for, but at least we know the Big Show knows how to protect celebrities, meaning the current face of Icy Hot will feel safe knowing his Shaq'd and a Fool bit on TNT's Inside the NBA will continue unhindered after Mania well into the playoffs.
Remember when Shaq shilled for Burger King?
Yeah, I need a Whopper. I think they had something called a Shaq Pack, and there's like a little tub of cheese in there.
I feel like Paul White should be the next spokesman for Burger King.
I agree, totally.
Have him dressed as a king go, well!
Eric Rowan! Eric Rowan can't really seem to catch a break, Larson. For those keeping track, I think this is the second time he's been quietly let go from the Wyatt family, with Bray walking off like a disappointed mother, and now he's hurt again.
That's correct. But this time his torn rotator cuff may be the motivation WWE needed to possibly change up his gimmick, if the rumors are to be believed.
For some, this will spell a sign of failure, which is sad. Big Red is a solid worker and certainly has the potential of being one of the most intimidating figures in the WWE at 6'8", over 300 pounds, and one epically red beard.
You know, I'm still not convinced that Rowan can do this on his own, though. We thought it made sense for him to go to SmackDown with the majority of the family, but it seems like being kicked to the curb so soon afterwards was just a bad decision for everyone involved.
This creative choice was most likely made for Bray, and with Rowan having little to offer outside of a group, it may be time to reconsider how he's being handled.
And now with Luke Harper returning, it makes Rowan even easier to forget.
So if we assume he's only going to be forgotten, my only question for you is, how would you repackage this monster in sheep's clothing?
Clever.
American Alpha! One of the hottest teams from NXT was drafted to Big Blue in what was thought to be not only a bit surprising, but one of the best all-around choices available in the current field.
Jason Jordan and Chad Gable may have started off awkwardly, with the former Olympian obsessed with having his partner say his last name, but it wasn't long before they proved to be a formidable team that could perform and tell a great story in the ring.
That's when Daniel Bryan and Shane said they were ready, willing,
and Gable. The duo seemed to lock to help establish the brand's tag division.
Sadly, the writers had other ideas and it wasn't meant to be. They were taken out of the tournament and left on the sidelines, perhaps to keep them from being overexposed too soon.
Or as simply a byproduct of the Slater Rhino team. I don't think anyone knew how over those guys would be.
Yeah, the question now is how to rebuild them and make sure their big moments aren't 8-man tag matches teaming up with the Hype Bro. Or that would make it a 7-man tag match.
Yeah. As good as those three guys look together, it's time to use what you have and push what could be one of the best groups of this NXT class.
I still say in 5 years, Gable and Jordan are going to be massive stars on their own. Bray Wyatt! Although it sucked that the Wyatt family was forced out of their feud with the New Day thanks to the brand split, there was the hope that with a smaller roster, Bray Wyatt would rise to the top of the crowd and become the true main eventer we always knew he should be.
And even though Braun Strowman was split off from the family and Luke Harper was hurt up until his past pay-per-view, we thought that Bray and ERICK Rowan could make an impact on SmackDown, but as we've seen already, Rowan was given a pink slip from the cult as well.
Wyatt briefly inserted himself into the business of the main event picture, locking horns with Dean Ambrose, but there was never any threat that he might actually get the belt.
The course seemed to have been corrected with a promising new feud against the Viper Randy Orton, with hopes of some decent action and a solid conflict of styles and character from both men.
And what we got was fairly creative. Weird backstage haunted mazes, being trapped in a container with his own rocking chair but then teleporting out somehow, and Orton playing his own mind games, stepping into Bray's playground.
Although I picked Bray to win over Orton at No Mercy, it was hardly a clean win, which was sadly no surprise. It's hard to think of Bray as an actual threat to the world title anytime soon, given how weak he's usually booked.
We can just hope that he'll go over Randy whenever their blow-off feud might take place, and he can ascend to the world title scene sooner than later. Probably gonna be later though, if history's any indication.
Hopefully he'll teleport
yeah,
to the top.
Exactly. Neville! It wasn't long ago that Neville came back from a nasty ankle injury that kept him out for 4 months.
Before that, though, the man that gravity forgot was proving to be quite the talent on the main roster when he wasn't getting the cape stuck on his face, of course.
Yeah, so it made sense that the Raw brand would snatch him up, especially after the news that they would be also receiving the cruiserweights, where he could easily be a contender for TJ Perkins' title.
And even if not there, Neville remains one of the most underutilized talents on the roster, barely being used, which is a shame.
We can't help but think that a spot on SmackDown might have actually treated Neville much better, especially with Commissioner Bryan saying they'd be focusing on the talent of their superstars.
That's right. Neville tore it up with Rollins and a slew of others not long ago, but the idea of him doing a set of matches against the phenomenal AJ Styles sounds like some classic wrestling in the making.
As it stands now, though, it may just be that the bookers are waiting for the right time to push him. But we can't help but think keeping this talent benched is just leaving money on the table.
Yep.
Or the bench, what have you. Anderson and Gallows! After the club was split, we pretty much figured AJ Styles would be just fine on his own. But what would that mean for the other two members of the group?
It means having to find your footing on the fly, which this tag team seems to be struggling with so far, even when they're in a back and forth feud with the tag champs.
The deck has been stacked against the boys who used to enjoy beating up John Cena, and a potential tag title run has been stunted by the WWE focusing on records rather than good stories.
And no matter how much Anderson and Gallows dismantle their opponents, or Big E's testicles, they just weren't resonating as the threats that they should be.
And playing doctor to try to out-funny the New Day saw them reach a new low.
This is a major letdown because when the former Bullet Club trio was in full force, their work was really coming together and they felt like a legitimate threat.
Anderson and Gallows are great, devastating in the ring and funny in their own rights when it's not being forced.
They seem to be back on track though, and it looks like they'll be mixing it up with Enzo and Cass for the moment, but until the New Day breaks the tag team title record, the club's championship hopes are on hold.
2 words, club expansion. Who on Raw should join the club, Larson?
Sami Zayn.
Really? Sami Zayn! Ole, 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 oh. Wait, that's not it.
No, that's not it.
Oh, 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 oh.
Let's go. Not only does the former NXT champion keep us singing during his energetic entrance, he has been a part of some of the best pure wrestling on WWE television in the past few years.
Whether it was his best of 3 series with Cesaro, the US title bout with Cena, or a laundry list of great encounters with Kevin Owens, ZAYN entertains.
So it makes perfect sense that both brands would want to snatch up the former El Generico for their own and use him to pump out some great feuds and matches, right?
Yeah, about that. ZAYN just feels lost on Raw, stuck floundering in the mid-card when they don't have him against Owens or want to put him up as a somewhat believable threat for what we all know is the most likely one-off match.
He deserves better, and it's hard to believe that ZAYN wouldn't be a serious contender for the Intercontinental title on SmackDown.
We aren't saying that Raw doesn't have the talent he can work with, just that everyone else on ZAYN's level is already doing something, while he's stuck in limbo until they find something more concrete for him.
I'm telling you, Steve, make him the newest member of the club.
Oh, he's just too lovable for the club.
Maybe the club needs to be lovable.
Well, Luke Gallows is a pretty lovable guy.
That's true.
Yeah. Enzo and Cass! Not because we don't love these guys or can't see anything but excellence in their futures, but the certified G's seem to be in a bit of a stopgap at the moment in Raw's tag division.
With the New Day likely holding the tag straps until they break Demolition's record, there just isn't a lot for the realest guys in the room to do.
Sure, they might be in the main event one week against Owens and Jericho, but next, they're running the Susan G. Komen segment instead of actually wrestling. And I expect them to be the next one selling us delicious chicken, Mars candy, or some other shit anytime now.
You know, Enzo would actually be a really good Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, he would.
Anyways, the bona fide studs are being plugged in here and there, wherever they can fit week to week, but they need some direction.
Yeah, or a brand change. Enzo and Cass's thing is kind of too similar to the New Day's. So the thought of these two groups ever clashing, it just doesn't fit.
Put him on SmackDown then, Steve, to replace the Slater Rhino comedy act whenever that either runs its course or whenever Rhino leaves to run all of Michigan.
He's running for Emperor of Michigan right now.
Well, President.
Something like that. Dean Ambrose! Before the brand split, Dean Ambrose fought hard for his belt and had a huge amount of crowd support.
The lunatic fringe surprised some by holding the belt down for SmackDown when the brand split. He was given a golden opportunity to guide the ship as its top guy, an unpredictable champion who would take on all comers and tear it up in the ring.
Yeah, but nope.
No. For whatever reason, the switch to a new brand or a different group of individuals to work with seemed to really hurt the former Shield member.
Yeah, some are just better when they're chasing the belt and start to sour once they actually have it. But a set of matches with Dolph Ziggler and AJ Styles all seem good on paper, so what happened?
The promos seemed more out of place than usual, and with each week, Dean just carried himself less and less like a champion with no signs of him being in charge, and more like someone who was just there.
Yeah, he underwhelmed, much to everyone's dismay, and though chasing the title again may help a bit, this is a business where fans want to see their champ eventually get the gold.
Dean's still in the title picture for the moment, but it's only a matter of time before the scene shifts and Styles' next set of opponents leave Ambrose with nothing to do.
We need a double turn. The crowd already cheers the shit out of AJ no matter how hard he tries to be a heel, and they've started to boo Ambrose whenever he's in the ring with AJ. So double turn might be just the recipe we need to get Ambrose motivated again.
What did Stone Cold say to him?
You're resting on your laurels. So there are the 10 wrestlers we feel have been hurt most by the brand split. Let us know what you guys think in the comments.
And a huge thank you to Stephen Wiles, our new writer-researcher type guy, making sure we get our stuff right. We're old now.
Yeah.
Remembering is hard.
Yeah, there's a link in the description to Stephen's other work. Please check it out.